It's Wednesday the 28th of September and welcome to From the South. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro is hoping that relations between his country and the United States can make a turn for the better. Maduro met with US Secretary of State John Kerry on the sidelines of the signing of Colombia's peace agreement. Venezuela and the US have shared a tumultuous relationship since 1999, when President Hugo Chavez took office with his socialist government. The first US ambassador to Cuba in more than 5 decades has been nominated by President Barack Obama. Jeffrey De Laurentiis has been US Chief of Mission in Cuba since August 2014, his third posting in Havana. He has also held diplomatic posts at the State Department in Washington and at the US Mission to the United Nations in Bogota. He would be the first US envoy since Philip Ponsel, an appointee of President Dwight Eisenhower. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos headlined a rally in the Caribbean city of Barranquilla, attracting scores of peace supporters. This is fresh off the signing of a peace deal on Monday to end a conflict that has killed more than 220,000 and displaced millions. Santos hopes that the Colombians will vote yes to the accord in a plebiscite on Sunday, the final step in its ratification. Mexican authorities are deliberating on whether to hand over notorious drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman to the United States. He faces charges of drug trafficking, money laundering and murder in US federal courts in California and Texas. In May, Mexico's foreign ministry approved Guzman's extradition to the US and said it had received guarantees that the death penalty would not be sought against him. A Mexican judge's decision on one of Guzman's appeals against extradition is due to be made in the coming days. Airstrikes hit 2 hospitals in rebel-held eastern Aleppo in the early hours of Wednesday, knocking them out of service. 6 civilians were killed and dozens more were wounded. The death toll is expected to rise due to ongoing air raids, and there are only 6 hospitals left in the rebel-held area. A concrete wall being built to stop illegal crossings along the length of Turkey's 560-mile border with Syria will be finished by the end of February 2017. This, according to an official at a Turkish state institution with knowledge of the project. Turkey has been under pressure from its NATO allies to seal off the border with the Islamic State group-controlled territory in Syria. Dutch-led prosecutors investigating the downing of Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 said that the plane was shot down by a Russian-manufactured Buk missile. The weapon was fired from eastern Ukraine, which was controlled by Russian-supported rebels in 2014. Prosecutors said that it remains unclear who ordered the missile to be fired. 4 Spanish nationals and 1 Moroccan were arrested on suspicion of recruiting fighters for the Islamic State group. A police spokesperson said that the suspects are being investigated for inciting terrorism and undertaking computer terrorism by recruiting radicals to fight for the Islamic State. South African students marched through the Johannesburg city centre to the Chamber of Mines, saying they will only stop protesting when the government gives in to their demands for free further education. Unrest has hit many universities over the past year, as students protest against fee increases that they say force poorer, often black, pupils out of education.
Thousands of Palestinians took part in the funeral of a Palestinian prisoner who died from a stroke in the Israeli prison of Ramon Sunday morning. 40-year-old Yasser Hamdouni was laid to rest in the local cemetery of his hometown village of Yabed, west of Jenin in the occupied West Bank, after his relatives and friends said their last goodbyes. During the funeral march, angry mourners waved Palestinian flags and shouted slogans against the Israeli occupation and in support of Palestinian prisoners and martyrs.
With
the death of prisoner Yasser Hamdani, the number of Palestinian prisoners who died due to medical negligence in the Israeli jails has reached 208. This will have a great impact on the lives of Palestinian prisoners and their families. Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli jails have staged a 3-day hunger strike following Hamdani's death. There are 120 critically ill Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli jails who need the intervention of the international community to pressure Israel to provide them with the appropriate treatment.
Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons announced the 3-day hunger strike following the death of their fellow inmate who spent 14 years in Israeli custody. Palestinian sources said that Hamdouni suffered from shortness of breath and heart problems over the past months, saying his death was due to medical negligence of Israeli doctors and medical staff. Human rights groups say that about 208 Palestinian prisoners have died in Israeli jails, 55 of them of medical negligence. According to the Palestinian Prisoners Society, 1,800 ill Palestinians are currently being held in Israeli jails. 120 of them are in critical condition. More than 7,000 Palestinians are being held in Israeli jails. The majority of them arbitrary, without charge or trial. Noharazin, teleSur's TV, Palestine.
Sam Allardyce admitted an error of judgment after his career as manager of England's soccer team came to a humiliating end following controversial comments made to undercover reporters. Allardyce apologised to his former employers and refused to rule out a future role in soccer. More on these and other stories on our website telesurtv.net/English.